Hi guys, Summer here with Done Naturally, and today we have a Did You Know? We are going to talk about how your milk supply is built and really more importantly, when your milk supply is determined. All right, so everyone that's pregnant around 20 to 24 weeks makes colostrum throughout the remainder of the pregnancy. And then once the baby is born, your body is given a signal, and that can move into what I call big milk production, or what other people will say, milk coming in. So babies are extremely instinctive. They are the ones that drive a mother's milk supply. And we have to trust them. We have to trust the baby. We have to trust our body to be able to do these things. And sometimes us moms can get in our own way of allowing that to happen. So what I'm going to explain to you today will hopefully avoid that happening to you, so you guys can have a robust, wonderful milk supply for your baby. All right, so you guys have heard supply and demand, right? That's how milk supply works. Well, let's dive into that a little deeper. What does supply and demand really mean? Milk supply is determined by however much milk is taken out of the breast is how much is made. So if a baby is nursing very, very frequently and taking milk out very frequently, that milk is replenished and created. If a mother's not breastfeeding and she's pumping as regularly as a baby would be, then that milk is created and replenished. So we have to take the milk out of the breast in order to produce the milk. So the baby does this by nursing a ton, okay? When I have moms in the NICU unit, I want them to be pumping as though their baby actually isn't in the NICU unit, that their baby is in their room nursing crazy all the time as if they were full term. We have to mimic that for our body because we only have a certain window of time to produce milk. So what's the window? Our milk supply is built within the first 2 to 3 weeks after delivery. That's our window of time to tell our body how much milk to make forever. So in that first 2 to 3 weeks, however often a baby is breastfeeding, however often a mom is pumping, that tells our body how much milk to make from then on. After 3 weeks-ish, we are in maintenance mode, okay? And how I like to talk about it is we are building a house of milk, okay? We are building a big house of milk for this baby. Now, in lactation world, we talk about the beginning first few weeks that every time a baby is breastfeeding, we're laying down receptors, cell receptors in our breasts that allow the milk to be made from then forward. I like to break that down in a more simple way in talking about a house. When you build a house, one of the first things you have to do is build the foundation to support the house. So however big the house is going to be, let's say 5 bedrooms, that's going to require a certain size foundation, a certain structure of foundation in order for that to support this 5-bedroom house for this family to continue to live in that house forever, okay? You have to know that first. This is so similar to milk supply. So in milk supply, the first 2 to 3 weeks is foundation building. Every time the baby nurses, that's laying down a brick in that foundation for that house of milk. And every time she's pumping, if she's pumping, it's a brick in her foundation for her milk supply, so that she has this really solid foundation for that baby to then be able to grow and maintain that growth from then forward. And in that first 2 to 3 weeks is when that happens. Afterwards, you can't, once you pass that window, you can't go back. Similar to building a house. You can't build the foundation, the house comes up, And then later down the road be like, oh my gosh, we want another bedroom. Not a 5-bedroom, we want a 6th bedroom. You can't do that. The house foundation has already been built. The 5-bedroom house with all of its walls and structures and everything has gone up. You would have to dig again, which essentially would be like a whole nother pregnancy. So in breastfeeding, once we've built that foundation in that first 2 to 3 weeks, that's it. So those first 2 to 3 weeks become so vital in trusting that baby. So what are we trusting? We're trusting that the baby knows what they're doing, and we're not doubting them. When they want to breastfeed every hour, that's for a purpose. It's because they know I'm building a house of milk and we have to get this foundation in now. So, and they can't ever overfeed. There's no such thing. So when they want to nurse, you allow them to nurse. They can't do it too much. I prepare families for breastfeeding like 20 out of the 24 hours of the day. I know that sounds like a lot and you're freaking out listening to this right now. But if you prepare for that, then even if it's less frequently than that, you're going to be okay with that. But if you prepare for what a lot of people hear, which is the baby will nurse 8 times in a 24-hour period, or they're going to nurse every 3 hours, or every 2 to 3 hours, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be stressed when suddenly they want to nurse every hour, and you're not going to understand. So prepare yourself for unrestricted access to the breast, because they're doing it for such a good reason. And people will call that cluster feeding. I call it marathon feeding. They might breastfeed for like 45 minutes, take a little 10-minute break, start up again for another 45 minutes, take another 10-minute break, breastfeed for 30 minutes. A dad might ask when he wakes up in the morning, hey babe, you know, how often did the baby breastfeed last night? And mom's like, I have no idea. I'm pretty sure they never left the breast. And that is normal in the first few weeks. Now later, does it become more predictable? Absolutely, absolutely. But in the first few weeks, it's crazy. They're just so busy building that milk supply, and we want that. They will get more predictable where they breastfeed for 15 minutes and then take a 2 to 3 hour break, and then breastfeed for 15 minutes and take a 2 or 3 hour break. But in the first few weeks, it feels like they're doing the exact opposite. It feels like they're nursing for 2 hours and a half and taking a 15-minute break, and then nursing for 2.5 hours and a half and taking a 15-minute break. But those are the bricks in the foundation. And since we can't go back and suddenly tell the body to build a 5th bedroom, 6th bedroom, 7th bedroom later, we have to put that effort into the first 2 to 3 weeks in order for us to carry that baby on through that year of breastfeeding, 2 years of breastfeeding, 6 months of breastfeeding, whatever you're wanting. You have to put that effort and not doubt it in the first 2 to 3 weeks. And when you do that, you can be extremely successful, and the 4th and 5th and beyond weeks become super duper easy. And the baby becomes more effective at breastfeeding and more efficient because there's so much milk. They don't have to spend all that time there. They've put the work in already. So yes, there's a lot of work put into that first 2 to 3 weeks for sure, but it so pays off later. You are building a house of milk, and that foundation is crazy important. You have to let the baby do it. So how can we get in our way? We can get in our way if the baby is breastfeeding for 30 minutes and then a half an hour later the baby is cooing and crying, and the mom's like, but they just fed. Hold them off with a pacifier. I don't want to feed them yet because I'm worn out. That's how we can get in our way. Do I understand you're worn out? Oh my gosh, yes, I absolutely do. But we have to understand that we only have this window of time, and the baby's trying to tell our body what to do, and we just have to listen, and we have to put that effort in. So avoiding pacifiers, allowing that unrestricted access to the breast, expecting that they are going to be marathon feeding is so important in you having that healthy, big house of milk, and being successful, which is what my goal is for you guys. So the end of this, key points being, trust the baby, trust your body, understand that the first 2 to 3 weeks is when our milk supply is determined and set forever. However much milk you make forever, figure it out in that first 2 to 3 weeks of foundation building, okay? And that's it. So have a great day. I hope this was helpful for you, and I wish lots of success for you and your house of milk. Have a good one, guys. Bye.